Eric, how you doing? It's good to see you. I guess just how would you say, I'm going back to summer and fall workouts, now full-scale practice, how would you say the new guys are meshing with the returning guys?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, that we have not unknowns as far as individual players with a lot of the new guys. They're known players in college basketball, but we have a lot of unknowns as far as combinations go. But I think that there's been we've had a great summer. I think the last 10 days we've just had a lot of unfortunate, small injuries. That this next couple weeks is going to, set us back a little bit as far as the way that we've normally prepared over the last 7 years of college. So I'm going to have to scale back some of the stuff that we do in preparation, probably throughout the first 2.5 weeks of October.
Yeah, we saw some of the guys that were doing, just kind of watching, maybe doing very little. Is any of that stuff serious, or do you expect them all back here shortly? Or kind of
I might as well just say it now because somebody's going to ask. I mean, Jalen's got, an aggravated old ankle injury. We're taking it slow, should be returning soon, probably, not in the next 10 days, but soon after. Trey Wade injured his knee. It's a tendon, out 4 to 6 weeks, but non-surgical. And then KK has, continued to have soreness, working back into activity. The bone that he had surgery on is fine, but he's missed a really good portion of what we've done over the last 12 weeks or whatever. Tony's soreness in the knee. He did it today, and then JD's ankle.
Coach, I'm wondering what's stood out about Stanley's summer, and has he been the player that you thought he might be when you signed him?
Yeah, I mean, I think just because of Stanley, us playing against him, we knew in preparation what a tough cover he was, that he was a multi-level scorer because he can shoot the three, he can put the ball on the bounce in isolations, and he's a really good post-up player. He's got a really good mid-range isolation game off the elbows. He's had a great summer. Todd Lee, who he played for, is a former assistant of mine who's the head coach at South Dakota. And so he's probably been the one guy that's by far been the best coached coming in. Like, he knew a lot of the habits and a lot of the terminology that we use. So I think he's had a little bit less of an adjustment maybe than some of the other new guys from a practice habit standpoint. But I think he's actually improved even, in his practice habits as well.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about two of your other transfers, Chris Likes and DC Tony, coming over from the ACC. What have you seen from them so far, just your early impressions?
Yeah, I think that, as far as Chris goes, Curtis, I mean, the pace of practice was really new for him. The attention to detail is really new for Chris. I think he's, he's at his best when he's just kind of balling or just playing. We're going to need him to really play within structure. We're going to need him to know the plays at the off guard and the point guard position. And we have a large play package, so that's something that's continuing to evolve for him. He's not there right now. Understanding, the third and fourth option at both those positions. We still have time, obviously, but I do think he's a guy that whether we're at home or on the road, he's going to find some games where we're struggling to score or we're playing a little bit. There's always those games where you're looking for a little bit of extra juice, and he's a type guy that's going to bring momentum swings for us from an offensive standpoint. We need him to defend his position maybe better than he has in the past.
Weight and strength this summer?
I mean, they tell me that he's gained a little bit of weight. I mean, but you guys, judge for yourself. I mean, he's hard to, tell because he's so tall. But, early on in the summer, had not gained much weight. I thought towards, after our season was over, he actually kind of lost some weight. And then as we've gotten, since the school year has actually started and we've gotten out of our summer session, I think that he has added a little bit of weight.
How does he look as far as practice is concerned?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a difficult job every day because he's chasing around, some guys that are really, really versatile. Because Stanley can play the 3, 4, 5. Kamani's a really, really hard cover. I think that people saw that when Kamani played for Coach Walker, that he's a really great dribble drive guy, and so Connor's guarding non-traditional 5s every day, which I hope will help him laterally. But he's played well throughout throughout the 10-week summer session, and then the last whatever we've had since school started, 3 weeks.
Coaches, what did you see from JD this summer in terms of work, and you expect him to build on the way he finished last year?
I would say that JD's transformed his body better than anybody since I've been at Arkansas. He's done an incredible job. He comes in every single night and shoots, and he lifts weights on his own. I don't know if I've ever been around a player that gets 3 to 4 lifts on his own at night after he's already done a lift session with his teammates. And so I think he's really, really focused to have a great year, and he needs to lead us in a lot of different ways. Obviously, the biggest challenge with Chris and JD is shot selection, and understanding that when those guys are primary ball handlers, that we need them to be set the table players, at least initially in the offense. They're both really, really aggressive offensively. I think Devo's done the best job as a true point guard of trying to get teammates involved. And then it's just, with all 3 of those guys is putting a high premium on taking care of the ball and being low turnover players at that position. That's going to be, the biggest thing that we're going to want out of all 3 of those guys.
Coach, I saw today a couple times you had to get on Chance. Is he just kind of a freshman, kind of still kind of adjusting to the college game? How's that going for him?
Yeah, Chance is a really, really talented player, but this is so foreign to him, how hard we practice. It's completely new, and his motor has got to improve. But in his defense, he is a freshman, and he's the only freshman. Last year we had a group of 4 guys that kind of came in, and so when you have 4 freshmen, you're kind of all swimming in the same lane, so to speak, and now we got 1 guy who's kind of on an island with a bunch of veteran guys or guys that are returning players. So, but yes, for sure, Chance has got to continue to evolve his practice habits.
Bob? Yeah, Eric, if there's a poll out there, you guys are in it, maybe 15, 10, 8, whatever it might be. I know it's preseason, but how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, obviously with any sport, you always want, your players to be recognized. It really doesn't matter, because last year at this time, we probably had very, very little respect, so to speak, as far as being a team in the top 15 in polls and stuff, and then we came on really strong at the end, and we still got we got to evolve in a lot of different areas. We got a lot of really, really good pieces, but they got to figure out, and we have to figure out a way for everybody to mesh. And again, with the guys being in and out of with injuries, and like 3 of our most vocal players are Jalen, Trey Wade, and KK, and they weren't out there today. So our voice energy level is drastically different when those guys are out there. And then 2 of those 3 understand our offense and our concepts, both sides of the basketball, better than anyone. And so when they're not out there, I think that our team dips a little bit. But I think it's awesome for the fans. Obviously, the excitement, the way that season tickets have gone and stuff. I mean, we understand that, things are going to be a lot different, obviously, coming out of a pandemic when you only got 4,000 fans. And even for the few of us that were here in that year 1, I don't know how many true sellouts we had, Kentucky and maybe 1 or 2 others, but, we're anticipating the potential to have a sellout potentially anytime we play a home game. And then after the first few games, it's going to depend on how hard we play and keeping the, the fan interest wanting to come back based on, style of play and winning and all those type of things.
You got guys dealing with these nagging injuries. What's the key to making sure you keep having quality practices while you're waiting for those guys to get back?
Yeah, I think that's $1 million question, Bob. That's a great question. It's one that, when I'm done talking with you guys, we'll go back upstairs and we'll talk about that. I think one of the great things of having Gus, who was with us at Nevada when we did have a few injuries, we can look back on that time, and I think certainly with Clay and Coach Smart, because of their NBA background, I think that there is a pace to how you want to do this thing too. I want to go 100 miles an hour every single day, but we are going to have to be really smart how we go through these next 3 weeks, and then from there just kind of see how it goes.
Most of last year it was a lack of lateral movement. I think you said collectively on the team, good rebounding team, but maybe didn't move laterally. Are there any weaknesses on this team collectively when you looked at it? Because it looks like you got smaller, quicker, faster. Are there going to be places where you have to have a Band-Aid to cover up some stuff?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Kevin. Obviously, in the first year, it was lack of defensive rebounding. It was lack of size. I thought we took care of that last year, but maybe when you add size, you lack a little bit of mobility. But I think as the season progressed and evolved, I think that we became a really, really great lateral movement team based on how we changed lineups. And I think that, we became a great defensive keep your man in front of you when we moved Justin strictly to the 4 spot, and he played a little bit of 5, and Tate and Devo Davis were a nightmare for opposing guards because of their length and lateral quickness. So I think we eventually got there, Kevin, but certainly last year at this time, that was one of the things that we felt we kept seeing. I think right now it's sharing the basketball, understanding what a great shot is instead of a quick shot, because we do want to play fast, but we also want to play with high basketball IQ. So I would say right now it's taking care of the basketball, limiting our turnovers through this, whatever you want to call it, the summer session and now the start of training camp. We've turned the ball over too much compared to what maybe we've done in the past. And I would say that, shot selection, we have some guys that can score the ball. I mean, you talk about Stanley's used to scoring the basketball. Chris Likes is used to scoring the basketball. Adesi, a guy that averaged 14 points in the 8, used to scoring the basketball. We know that Devo's got the ability to score. We know that JD loves to score. And so you got all these pieces that you got to try to, get to understand that it's we ball. Like that's one of the things that we talked about pre-practice today is, the term we ball. And, we'll get there. And then obviously, when you have a larger group of players that all think that they're going to be in the rotation, how do you kind of get that rotation to the number that we're comfortable with?
Can you talk about the reception that you got on the recruiting trail to the success of going to the Elite Eight? And also with this NIL, what are some positives and negatives that you've had to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go to the second one, Dudley. As far as, name, image, and likeness, I don't really see any negatives. I think that it's well overdue for players to, to be able to earn some money. Obviously, we kind of stay out of it. I think that we're in a unique position here. I think that, we have a fan base that loves the Razorbacks, and we're not competing with anybody else, and I think that's a great thing for our student athletes as well. What was the other question, Dudley?
Success on the recruiting trail from going to the Elite Eight and how that was received.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, the recruiting stuff, Moses, Devo, KK, and Jay Will, we owe them a lot because they didn't really have anything to go off other than, hey, in year one, we played really, really hard. That's kind of what, they saw and what their parents saw and what their inner circle. But we hadn't really, proven anything other than, hey, we garnered respect from referees, we garnered respect from other coaches, and two guys had phenomenal years and were able to play in the NBA, and Isaiah and Mason, which is not an easy thing either to have two guys go and play at that level. But those guys kind of trusted us, and then obviously making the run that we did last year. Like, I know fans, it's really, really hard to make the NCAA tournament. It just doesn't happen. And to make it, and then to be able to have success, and to have a team that understood what was at stake and sacrificed. There's a lot of things that go into winning in the postseason. And then certainly I think that momentum, we're not selling something anymore. It's now a reality. And you want to ride the momentum when you have momentum, and I certainly think that we've done that. And we want to continue to do that as well.
Devo said after the season ended that a big point of emphasis for him would be, working on his three-point shot. Have you seen him make some headway there?
Yeah, he works at it every single day, and obviously he's, we never want him to get away from his, his strength, which is dribble driving and slithering, off the bounce and being creative. But certainly we feel like his release is better than it was maybe last year. I think he's got more lift on his shot. I think he's more confident. I think he's squaring up a lot more. He's more shot ready when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. So off the bounce, being able to understand to get 10 toes at the rim on a shot instead of floating to the left or right, I think he certainly improved drastically in that aspect. And then you just hope that, that he has some results that in a game, because obviously you can work all you want in the summer, but you gain confidence once the lights come on. And but we feel like he's more confident, and he's certainly put in the work for sure.
Eric, I guess this was a first day training camp. You're missing some guys, being able to go full speed. How'd you feel like the first day went?
Yeah, it's day one for us, Bob, in the fact that, we're, I don't know how many days out. What is it? 42 days out, so that makes it first day. But, yesterday we were still in our 4 hours, so we had a really good practice. Yesterday was probably our best practice since we've been together. And then naturally, the next day when you have less bodies, you're going to drop off from an intensity standpoint. But even today, I bet if all of us were fortunate to go drop into some other practices, that intensity and level of pace, and if you looked at the monitor that Dave Rich has and you see the energy that was expended by our guys, it was pretty good practice. We just were down in numbers, and I think that my expectations are pretty high, but I thought we had a solid practice, and like I said, over these next 10 days to 3 weeks, we want to try to get everybody healthy again so that we're ready to play on opening night.
We heard you make a couple football play references out there. I know you're on the sidelines, and Sam talked about, I never heard a coach say this, that he felt they'd be more powerful with like you and Dave there. What'd you think of that? And you ever made football references in practice before, like referred to football players?
I make football references, baseball references. I guess I'm a fan of other sports. But, yeah, I thought, when I got the call from Coach Pittman, it was, I guess if I just had to say one word, it was just cool. And my wife and I argued a lot, like where I was going to be most of the game, because she had it planned out that we were going to sit in Jerry Jones's thing, and she kind of set that up, not me. But, yeah, it was, for Coach Pittman to include Coach Van Horn and I, it wasn't like they won and then he included us. It was the thought of having us down there, knowing it was as big a game as they've played in a long time. Kind of a wow moment that he would, and then before the game, like he was really confident. I can tell you that because he and I chatted and from another coach, just leadership-wise, I took notes off a 10-second conversation that he and I had because he felt like his team was in a really good spot going into the game. Most coaches are nervous about games. He was fearless in a 10-second conversation.
Anything else, Coach? All right.
It's great to see all you guys again instead of Zoom.